Hi, so my name is Cassidy. I'm here to talk to you about the pelvic floor and the pelvis, and then discuss kind of the visceral organs that are housed within the pelvis. So first up here, we have our pelvis. And so I kind of made it three-dimensional for y'all to see, but again, the pelvis marks as a transition point between the abdominal viscera and then going down into the lower extremities. And this pelvis is important for walking, but again, it houses organs such as urogenital and the distal digestive systems. And then it also helps with a conduit for arteries, veins, and the lymphatic system, which is necessary for daily functioning. And then, so the pelvis here is composed of three bones. So you have your ilium, your ischium, and your pubis. So I have kind of like special landmarks noted here. So you have your iliac crest up top, and then just below that is your anterior superior iliac spine, and then below that is your anterior inferior iliac spine. And then coming down here, we have your butt bones, which you typically sit on, and that is your ischial tuberosities. And then back pointy part off of that is called your ischial spine, seen here. And then back behind here, you have your sacrum and your coccyx. Those again are, you're sitting on those as you sit, as I'm sitting here now. And then connecting together the two bones is your pubic symphysis, and that's just holding the pelvis together. And then coming down here, you have your these holes right here, your obturator foramen, and that's coming through with certain arteries, veins, etc. to help supply blood flow to the lower extremities or your lower legs. And then you come down here, the two bones on top of that is your superior pubic ramus and then your inferior pubic ramus, and all of this is, again, these are just special landmarks, and those house as muscular attachment sites for all of the different muscles. And so then going forth, we'll kind of discuss the pelvic floor. And so the pelvic floor has five main functions. So it supports the abdominal viscera, including the rectum, and then it helps with bowel and bladder function, sexual function, and as a sump pump mechanism for the lymphatic system, and also for stability. So going into the pelvic floor musculature, we have, this is your first layer. So I kind of come up here. And so what this is composed of three muscles. And so your first one is your superficial transverse perineal, and that's right here, and that supports the perineal body. Then you have your bulbocavernosus, and that is helping to close the vagina and then compress the vestibular gland during erection. And then finally up here is your ischiocavernosus, and that maintains erection of the clitoris. And then going into the second layer, you have this, and it's again composed of three muscles along with a thick fibrous sheath. You have your compressor urethrae, which is helping to close that urethra during urination, and then the sphincter urethrovaginalis, which is right here coming together. That's helping again close the vagina and the urethra. And then you have your transverse perineals, and that's helping support the pelvic diaphragm. And then lastly, you have here's your final layer. This is your levator ani. So levator ani is composed of the iliococcygeus, the pubococcygeus, and the puborectalis. So your puborectalis is right here, and this is helping, it's activated during squeezing. And then the pubococcygeus is running right here next to that, and that's helping assist with elevation of the urethra during pelvic floor contraction. And then finally, your iliococcygeus, and that's supporting the rectum and upper vagina and uterus. And then you also have your coccygeus, and that's supporting the pelvic floor as well. And then you'll see here, I've kind of created a ureter, and this is composed of your cervix, your ovaries, your fiambrae, and then this would be your vaginal opening as well. And so again, you will see this is part of the female reproductive system, and you'll see this especially with, and then so the ureter helps house and nourish a fertilized egg until the fetus is ready to be delivered if expecting motherhood, or it's also shedding the lining during a menstrual cycle. And then I have here is our bladder. So this is composed of, so your ureters here, and then would be your bladder, and then this would be your urethra, which is helping with urination. And then finally, we have just a kind of included a large intestine and a small intestine. This would be part of your colon here, and then this is your rectum and anus. So all these are housed in our pelvis here. So you would see generally that the bladder is the most in the front, and then behind that would be ureter, and then your bladder, and then your intestines. And then on the floor would be your pelvic floor and those three muscle layers. So I hope that kind of helps with explaining all of the actions of the pelvic floor and its importance, especially with all of those major functions. But again, the pelvic floor is super important, and it helps with defecation, urination, and sexual function. So thank you.